Hello and welcome to Elecspo, and it is time for part 2 of what would happen if Daniel Ek bought Arsenal. In part 1 we looked at the Spotify man's first 6 years in charge, and it's fair to say there was a resurgence. The Gunners have climbed the table and have been competing for Champions League spots, which is a far cry from the current day where they're just fighting to get into the top 10. In 2026 we left things after Arsenal secured their first trophy of the Daniel Ek era, winning the Europa League after beating Napoli in the final. The Europa League might be a bit of a sore subject right now for Arsenal fans after they crashed out of the semis on Thursday night. It was a rough evening for the Arsenal faithful as they saw their season collapse around them as they stared at the prospect of no European football next season. But fear not, Arsenal fans, put your feet up and rejoice as we return to the alternative reality of Daniel Ek owning your club, and I've got a feeling things are on the up. So let's do it. Let's give Daniel Ek 6 more years in charge of Arsenal. This is part 2, let's see how far Arsenal can go. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell as well to make sure you never miss a video, and you can give me your video suggestions down in the comments below. Anyway, let's crack on. Right, so this is where we left things, the 21st of June 2026. Arsenal just finished 5th in the Premier League, but it doesn't matter because they beat Napoli in the Europa League final to secure another season of Champions League football. Mikel Arteta is still the manager, Kieran Tierney's the skipper, Hector Bellerin the vice captain. But the big thing could be that Daniel Ek has scaled back the fund, and that happened 2 years ago, but I mean they've still won a trophy. They've been in back-to-back Europa League finals, they've finally won it in 2026. The first trophy has been won of the Daniel Ek era. Can we kick on? We've got some good players, we've got Dani Olmo, Rafael Leao, Thiago Almada, Kimmich, Immobile, Saka's still there, Andy Robertson. Some great names, and Jared Bowen. What we're going to do is we're going to go 3 more years into the future. That'll take us to the summer of 2029 and we will see where the land lies at Daniel Ek's Arsenal. Okay, here we are, the 15th of June 2029, 9 years of Daniel Ek owning Arsenal, and as you can see, as I told you, things are well and truly on the up, because in the summer of 2027 Arsenal lifted the Premier League title for the first time since 2004. They haven't been able to defend the title. The season after they came 4th, this season they came 6th. But we'll have a look at the title winning table. How far were Arsenal ahead of their competitors? They got 84 points. They were only 3 points above Man City, who came 3rd. It was a tight race at the top. But Arsenal have won the title. They are finally the best team in England once again. Following season things dipped off as they came 4th, 77 points. So they were only 7 points shy of what they got when they won the title. This season things have dipped again though. They are 6th with 71 points. But if you notice, they are still going to be playing Champions League football. And that is because Arsenal have won the Champions League. In 2029, they are Champions League champions. Champions League champions? They won the Champions League. Back-to-back finals. They made the final in 2028. Didn't get the job done in fact, they've had 3 Champions League finals in a row. We go back to 2027 when they won the Premier League. Christ, what a start of the season they had. It was like watching the Invincibles again. They didn't lose a game in all competitions till they played Villa on the 21st of November. They made it through the Champions League. They got all the way to the final. They beat, who did they beat on the way to the final? They beat Inter Milan, Monaco, Borussia Dortmund. They met Man City in the final, where they were beaten 2-1 in extra time at Old Trafford. Let's go into the second season. Obviously that was a bit more disappointing in the league. Was there any cup finals? Well, obviously the Champions League, FA Cup and League Cup, they didn't make the finals. But let's have a look at that the Champions League final. Yet again, they were beaten by Manchester City, this time in Hungary in the Puskás Arena. It wasn't quite as close this time. They were hammered 3-0, a brace from Elias Mariba and a goal from Phil Foden, which made sure it was 2 Champions League final defeats in a row for Arsenal. I mean, they'd had a much tougher route to the final this time. They'd beat Real Madrid, Chelsea and Liverpool. But when they've met a 3rd English team in the final, they couldn't get the job done. But it was a different story in 2029. Sure, the Premier League form dipped off and they only came 6th. But they made a 3rd Champions League final in a row. And when they played Barcelona at the Ratko Mladic, which is apparently in Serbia. Serbian fans out there, you can tell me all about that stadium. But that is where Arsenal finally got their hands on the European Cup. A 2-0 win, Marco Antonio and Rodrigo with the goals. a Brazilian feel in the Champions League final. Finally, they have won the big one. And under Daniel Ek, Arsenal have won 2 major trophies. Obviously, we left things after they won the Europa League in 2026. They then won the Super Cup in the August of 2026. They won the Premier League in 2027. And now they have won the Champions League. Youth and training facilities have been upgraded. Things are just going swimmingly at Arsenal. Sure, Daniel Ek scaled down the funding, but they're still getting the big Spotify sponsorship that you remember I mentioned in part 1 of the video. Let's have a quick look at the spending. Even though Daniel Ek scaled back the funding, the Gunners are still spending huge amounts of money, but they are bringing a fair wedge of cash in themselves. In 2027, when they won the Premier League, they spent £220 million on some big names. They got Casemiro on a free for some reason, Luis Felipe from Lazio, Rodrigo from Real Madrid, one of the man who scored in the Champions League final. They got Juan Foyth, a former Tottenham player. Don't know why they've signed him. Is he doing anything? They got rid of him already. He's at Roma. So that was a waste of time, or a waste of Daniel Ek's money. Could have given that to So Solid Crew or someone else. Anyway, they brought in £205 million on transfers, so it wasn't that big a problem. They got big money for Bellerin, big money for Djibril Sow, bigger money for Yuri Tielemans, and a fair wedge of cash for Marcus Edwards as well. Following season, they were still spending more than £100 million. Leon Bailly, the big arrival, potential fee of £64 million. They spent nearly £40 million on Aaron Ramsdale. I don't get the hype around Aaron Ramsdale on Football Manager. I mean, those numbers are fantastic, but in real life, he doesn't look like you could catch a cold. But he is a Champions League winner. They got rid of Ciro Immobile, Andy Robertson's gone. Ruddock Honesty, that is a great name. He has to be a regen, he is. Honestly, doesn't look very good. Brilliant joke, absolutely gold content. Moving into this 2029 summer, yet again spending £116 million. Ben White, Emiliano Buendia, some interesting names there, but Ben White's a great player. England international by this time, and he's had a good first year at Arsenal, and he's only just left Brighton, that's quite surprising. Buendia loves an assist, he'll be back in the Premier League next season. I think he was linked with Arsenal last year, obviously didn't happen. But here he is, a Champions League winner with the Gunners. Let's have a little quick look at the team. Best player is Rodrigo, fair enough. Marcus Antonio, a lot of Antonios going on here. Leon Bailly's done well. Joshua Kimmich, a veteran at 34. They've still got Kieran Tierney, although he's only the vice captain now. Tion Koopmeiners is the actual skipper at the age of 31. He was signed a long time ago and he's been a picture of consistency during the simulation. The big surprise for me is that Mikel Arteta, still the manager, he's under so much pressure right now in reality. A lot of fans want him to go, they haven't trusted in the process anymore. It looks like he isn't taking the club forward. But with Daniel Ek's money, he is a Premier League and Champions League winner who has been in charge of Arsenal for about 10 years now. Into his 10th year. He's having a great time. But in 3 more years, where will he be? Let's go into 2032. That'll be 12 years of Daniel Ek's ownership. Let's see if Arsenal can get themselves another Premier League title, maybe another Champions League. Let's see what happens. Right, here we are, the 20th of June 2032, 12 years of Daniel Ek's ownership. And unfortunately, there haven't been any more Premier League titles. In 2029, obviously they came 6th when they won the Champions League. They've followed that up with a 3rd place finish, a 4th place finish, and they have just came 2nd. I was going to say narrowly missing out on the title, but it wasn't really narrow. They were 6 points behind the winners Manchester City. Let's have a look at the seasons prior, see how close they were. Came 4th with 75 points, only 5 behind Man United. A much closer ran thing, only 10 points separating the top 6. And in 2030, Arsenal were 9 points off the champions Man United. So they haven't won another Premier League title, but have they won anything else? We'll go to the competitions. Champions League, they were beaten finalists yet again in 2032. I mean, in modern times, Arsenal have been appalling in European football. They've never won the Champions League. They won the European Cup Winners' Cup in 1994. That was the last thing they had to shout about. They won a European Super Cup in 94 as well. But here they have been Champions League finalists in 2027, 2028, winners in 2029, and sadly beaten finalists yet again in 2032. Obviously no more Premier League titles, still 2027 the only title win of the Daniel Ek era. No FA Cup wins, but they did win the 2031 League Cup and they were beaten in the finals of 2032 as well. I mean, silverware hasn't been that big a problem at Arsenal in recent years. They're still winning FA Cups and whatnot, but in the grand scheme of things, they just haven't been competing. Money, still a lot of money being spent. Obviously, they've scaled back the funding, but that hasn't stopped Arsenal. They got Kulusevski, that's a big name arriving. £167 million spent in 2030. The following season, that was up to £210 million. The big arrival, Matteo Milo from Inter Milan. A Spanish regen who is a striker. He's not Spanish, he's Italian. Don't even know why I said he was Spanish. Stupid. But he did score 16 goals in his first season at Arsenal, so that's pretty good. He's done well. Who else did they sign the following season? It was £109 million. The most recent season, the spending has changed. They spent £106 million. Big money deal with Meccano, the main name coming in there. But going out was £184 million. They made a profit, a huge one at that as well. Jiri Dostal going to Liverpool for a lot of money. £57 million. Nassi Univar going to Atletico Madrid. A Dutch left winger who at Arsenal was alright, but he's doing a lot better in Spain, so that's good for him at least. I'm going to assume Daniel Ek is still the owner. He is. There's been no change in ownership. Daniel Ek for 12 years has been the Arsenal owner and he has delivered trophies aplenty. Mikel Arteta, man, how on earth has he done this? He's quite an anomaly on Football Manager. Sometimes he's great, sometimes he's awful. And this one, with the money behind him, he has been exceptional. He has taken Arsenal to the top of English football, to the top of European football. They are no longer a joke club. They're no longer the banter club of the Premier League. They have consistently been in the top 6 of English football. The worst finish they've had of the Daniel Ek era was 6th. And in that season, they won the Champions League, so what are you crying about? Obviously, this is all just fantasy. I mean, there's no guarantee that this was what would happen if Daniel Ek did buy the club. But I mean, it's nice to do. It's probably nice for Arsenal fans, considering they've just cried themselves to sleep the past week ever since they got knocked out of the Europa League by Villarreal. Rodrigo, the main man. I mean, look at all the goals they've been scoring. Christ, it's like watching the bloody entertainers in Newcastle. 22 for Rodrigo. Milo got 32. 14 for Kulusevski, who got 17 assists. Who else hit double figures? Chiori Nightbird, that sounds like a regen. And he is. He's English though, so that's good. Centre midfielder. Who else hit double figures? I was going to say Dedura did, but he's out on loan. Thiago Almada hit double figures. Gustavo Coutinho, whoever he is. A lot of regens. I mean, it is 2032. There will be a lot of regens by now. They've even got Sebastiano Esposito in. He can't even get a start. Most weeks he's on the bench. Well, started 23 times, 10 substitute appearances. It's a wonderful team that Mikel Arteta's got here at Arsenal, and it is no wonder that they are back among the elite clubs of English football. If there was a European Super League in 2032, Arsenal would absolutely be a part of it. Right now, in reality, they don't deserve it at all, but they've got the best player in the Premier League in Rodrigo, ahead of Erling Haaland. Just came second. They've won trophies after trophies after trophies, kind of. They've been really good. There's not more else you can say. Let's have a look at this season. It was another incredible start. They were absolutely dominant in the early weeks of the season. Their first defeat came against Tottenham. That is disappointing. Koopmeiners is sent off in the derby. They were beaten in the League Cup final by Everton. That is also quite disappointing. And they made the Champions League final en route. They beat AC Milan, Atletico Madrid and Juventus before setting up a final with Manchester City. And for the third time, they were beaten in the final. They conceded in the first minute. Heartache for Arsenal in the final, but at least they're getting there. Arsenal fans can only dream of a Champions League final right now. Christ, they'll be lucky if they're in next season's Europa League, I'll tell you that for now. But under Daniel Ek, the Gunners are a top club once again. Let's have a look in total what they have won. They have won a Champions League, a Premier League, a European Super Cup, a Europa League, what else have we got? And a League Cup. So that is 5 trophies. And I think that is pretty damn good. You know, in relative terms to where they are right now, Arsenal fans would absolutely kill for a Premier League. They haven't come close. Well, they've had a couple of shots. But since 2004 on that invincible side, Arsenal have slipped further and further away from the Premier League title. But with Daniel Ek's money and the riches of Spotify, the Gunners were the best team in England. and we will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Elecspo, and until next time, we will see you around.